Please be seated. The court calls civil action number TGCV 00126, Avery Porter individually and as representative of the estate of Riley Porter, plaintiff versus Creighton's Energy LLC defendant. Can I have announcements from the parties?
Yes, Your Honor, good morning. My name is Ali Alekri. Today I'm joined by my co-counsel, Ms. Ashley Alphonse.
Good morning, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, today we represent the plaintiff in this case, Riley Porter.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Rebecca Gorin, joined by my co-counsel, Dylan Hughes, and together we represent Kratos Energy.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Now, constructively outside the presence of the jury, do we have any housekeeping matters regarding the pretrial order in effect?
Yes, Your Honor, not regarding the pretrial order, but just regarding your preferences for the courtroom and the like.
Very well.
Your Honor, since it's our first time to have the privilege of being in your courtroom, we'd like to ask your preferences for moving about the well, approaching opposing counsel, the witness, and the bench.
You're free to do so.
Yes, Your Honor. We'd also like to ask your preferences about objections. If an objection is raised, would you like us to ask to be in sidebar, or shall we assume it's outside the presence of the jury?
We can assume for today's purposes outside the presence of the jury.
Yes, Your Honor. And when an objection is sustained, would you like us to move to strike the offending testimony or assume it's stricken?
You can assume it's stricken.
Yes, Your Honor. There are several exhibits in this case. If exhibits are admitted, Your Honor, would you like us to ask to publish or just say that we're publishing?
You can say that they're already pre-admitted?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, you can say that they're published.
Your Honor, we met with opposing counsel today, and there are several exhibits that we waived objections to. So at this time, we'd like to move to enter them into evidence. May I list those for you?
And these are consecutive order or by party?
Consecutive order, Your
Overall?
Honor, by party.
Okay.
Exhibit 10, 11, 13, 14, 30, 31, 34, 37, 56, and Your Honor, by pretrial order, Exhibit 50 is already pre-admitted.
Very well. Anything else?
No housekeeping matters from us, Your Honor, except for Rule 615 and 603, the rule.
For the defense?
Just a quick note on the invocation of Rule 615. The defense does have an expert in today's case. We ask that she be able to remain in court as an essential member of presenting the defense's case.
May be heard, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection, except we'd also like to extend that same courtesy to our expert witness.
Very well. I'll be granted as to both. Anything else at this time?
We had one other matter that we were able to address with opposing counsel before today's proceedings, which is that Exhibit 49, which is an OSHA report that was done prior to today's proceeding, is inadmissible and will not be made available in court today. No argument will be made regarding that report in Exhibit 49.
Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. Any other housekeeping matters?
Not from the defense, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor, we had a motion, though, we'd like to present.
Very well.
Yes, Your Honor, by way of background, this is a products liability case against Kratos Energy, the defendant in this case, who is a gas company that provided the gas that exploded on June 25th, 2024. That explosion killed my client, Riley Porter, and we're here today for a marketing defect case, Your Honor. Your Honor, through our attention and through the discovery in this case, the defense has raised a notice of a third-party liability defense against the plumbers that were working with the gas on that day. And by raising this defense in their pleadings, they raised a claim of negligence, specifically raising two grounds for negligence. Ground number one, that Waco Pipeworks, the plumbing company in this case, failed to train their employees about the risks of odor fade. Ground two, that the plumbers in this case did not use a combustible gas detector, that yellow thing you see right over there. Your Honor, we move to preclude the defense from arguing to the jury today that the plumbers should have performed operations outdoors rather than indoors, because this is not a ground that they raised in their pleadings.
Any response?
Yes, Your Honor. The motion should be denied. The jury charge, which has already been stipulated to be correct and which will be read to the jury at the end of today's proceedings, includes the statement that negligence can be proven that by showing that the way Waco Pipe Works trained its employees to purge air from their pipes was not within the standard of care for that industry. What we have here is evidence that the way they were purging that air was inside an enclosed room without using any ventilation, which is exactly contradictory to rules that govern how Waco Pipe Works and other businesses in that industry should purge the air. Because there is a direct connection between the standard of care and the violation of the rules that Waco Pipe Works did in today's case, it is permissible and is fair to be shown to the jury in order to meet our burden.
May be heard, Your Honor?
I'm going to go ahead and deny the motion at this time.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor, not from us.
Very well. The jury will constructively be brought back in to the courtroom. Is the plaintiff ready to proceed with opening statement?
Before we proceed, Your Honor, we'd like to ask the court's permission to use that pre-admitted exhibit, Exhibit 50, in opening statements.
You may.
Yes, Your Honor. They knew, and they said nothing. Members of the jury, these are the Porters. You've got Riley Porter on your left, his wife Avery, and their two beautiful daughters, Erin and April. I want you to focus in on Riley for a second. You see, he worked right here in Waco at a local plumbing company. He helped them fit the pipes. He helped them connect the pipes to boilers. And on June 25th, 2024, that's what he was doing at Waco Memorial Hospital. It was just supposed to be another ordinary day of work. He was supposed to make it back in time for dinner, to see his wife, to see his daughters. But at 2:25 p.m., onlookers see smoke rising from the hospital, the building up in flames. Explosion. Riley Porter is no longer with us today. But his wife, Avery, is. She's suing the defendant, Kratos Energy. The gas company you'll hear provided the gas that exploded in that boiler room. And we're suing them because they knew about a danger with that gas, and they said nothing to warn the plumbers about it. They knew, and they said nothing. Now, members of the jury, we all know that gas can catch fire, right? That's why we use it for cooking. And we all know that can be a little dangerous if there's too much of it. We all know it can explode. So what we do is we use our noses. We smell the gas. You've probably smelled it before. It smells like rotten eggs. But you'll learn today that that smell is not originally in gas. It's something that gas companies are required to put into their gas as a safety feature, so that the customers using their gas can tell that it's there. Today you'll learn about a hidden danger with the defendant's gas. That smell, that safety feature can disappear, can fade. They knew about that danger, and they said nothing to warn the plumbers or Riley Porter in this case. Because on June 25th, 2024, members of the jury, when Riley Porter was in that boiler room, you'll hear he smelled nothing. He didn't know that was a problem. The defendant did. That's why when we walked through those courtroom doors today, members of the jury, and came into this courtroom, we brought a case of marketing defect against the defendant. That means we're going to prove to you today, by a preponderance of the evidence, or more likely than not, that the defendant was selling a dangerous product that was unreasonably dangerous, that they failed to give adequate warnings to their customers about that danger, and that Riley Porter died as a result. We're going to prove that to you today by asking you to focus on three very simple facts. Fact number one, that the defendant sold a dangerous product. Fact number two, that they knew it was dangerous. And fact number three, they said nothing to warn their customers about that danger. So let's start with fact number one, that they sold a dangerous product. You'll hear from experts in the gas industry today, members of the jury, and they'll tell you about something called odor fade. That is when the safety feature the gas companies put in their gas can fail. The smell can fade. You'll learn today why that is so dangerous. Because when plumbers install new piping in a building, sometimes the air from the outside gets trapped inside the pipes. And you don't want the air to be there, because when you got air mixed with gas in a pipe, that equals explosion. So to get the air out of the pipes, they let the gas run through, push the air out, and once all the air is pushed out of the pipe, now the gas itself starts leaking. And you'll see that plumbers in this case are trained to know when to close off the pipe, when to stop the gas leaking, because they're trained to smell for it, because that is the safety feature that the gas companies promised would be there. The danger, you'll see that that safety feature is just removed. And the plumbers are none the wiser. Which brings us to fact number two. Who knew? The defendant knew about that danger with their own gas. You will hear from an executive from the defendant today who will be in that witness stand. And they will be forced to admit they knew about odor fade. They knew about its risks. They knew that it was specifically risky in this case. You will see emails, members of the jury, from years before this accident, where odor fade is discussed in depth in the defendant's internal documents. That the defendants themselves were warned about odor fade. But you'll see they failed to extend that same warning to the plumbers in this case, which brings us to fact number three, members of the jury. They said nothing. You'll hear about opportunity after opportunity after opportunity that the defendant had to warn these plumbers in this case about a danger with their gas, but they said nothing. You'll hear from one of those plumbers today, Jordan Covington. We're going to call him here to this witness stand. And when Miss Covington sits in this witness stand, you'll see she will walk you through the events that happened before the explosion. She was there with Riley Porter when that boiler room blew up. She'll tell you what she's trained to do as a plumber. She's trained to look out for that smell. And then on that day, she smelled nothing. She's never heard the term odor fade before. Because you'll see the defendant didn't tell her, didn't inform her, didn't warn her, that they said nothing. They knew, and they said nothing. That is why we are here today, members of the jury. That is why Riley Porter isn't, and why at the end of this trial, I'm going to come before you again and ask you to do what the law requires, what justice demands, what Riley Porter and his family deserve. We'll ask that you find the defendant liable. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Leckery. Ms. Gordon?
Yes, Your Honor. $29 to save his life. Folks, Waco Pipeworks had a solution that cost $29 that would have saved Mr. Porter's life. They just didn't use it. And if y'all are sitting here right now thinking, who is Waco Pipeworks? Well, it's because we haven't heard much about Waco Pipeworks yet. Waco Pipeworks is Mr. Porter's employer. Waco Pipeworks are the folks that told Mr. Porter to go into this work site, to open up a valve, and to expel explosive gas into an enclosed room. Waco Pipeworks are the folks who trained the plumbers, who told the plumbers what they needed to do, who were responsible for giving those plumbers the tools to keep themselves safe. So when the plaintiff is up here and they're talking about how what happened here was preventable, they are right. When they are up here and they're talking about how expelling explosive gas into a room and causing an explosion is something that could have been avoided in this case, they are right. There was a solution, an easy one, a reliable one, a tool, low tech, always there. And folks, what if I told you Pipeworks knew about it? What if I told you it was sitting right in front of Pipeworks and all they had to do was pick it up and use it? I got something that we're calling Exhibit 14 in my hand right now, and it is a detector. It detects gas in a room. When explosive gas is leaking into a room, this thing tells you when it's dangerous. And this is how it works. That's it. You will learn this cost $29. You will learn that all the folks needed to do in that work site was and none of us are here. The reason that they didn't turn this on was because Waco Pipeworks didn't tell their employees to do it. So folks, for just a moment, let's talk about what the day of this explosion looks like with this. Mr. Porter wakes up in the morning. He says goodbye to his wife and kids. He heads to work. He gets into that room. He goes where Waco Pipeworks told him to go. He's in that room with a bunch of his buddies, and they're working on the project down at Waco Memorial Hospital right here in town. They're ready to go. They turn on the pipe. That gas that the plaintiff was telling you about, it starts to come out, but this time, and that's it. This tells them that explosive gas is starting to come out. They shut off that valve, no explosion. Mr. Porter works the rest of the afternoon. He goes home, and again, none of us end up here. So when the plaintiff tells us they knew and they said nothing, oh, folks, a company knew. Waco Pipeworks knew that there was a solution that would prevent this problem every time. They didn't say anything. That day that I just walked through with y'all, it's not hard to imagine. It's one that could have happened. It's one that didn't happen because of the things Waco Pipeworks chose. We're going to talk about 3 of them. The first is that Waco Pipeworks put their employees in a dangerous position. And then they had a reliable tool to keep their employees safe, but then they didn't tell their employees to use that tool. And if I could just walk us through those briefly before we hear all the evidence from the witnesses that are going to sit right here. That first one is that Waco Pipeworks put their employees in a dangerous position. And here's what I want to make clear. You're going to hear a lot of evidence today about smelling this gas. What you're going to learn is that that smell is in there to prevent a gas leak. Sometimes gas accidentally leaks out, and we got to know if that's happening so we can prevent an explosion. What happened here was not an accidental gas leak. You will learn what happened here was intentional by Waco Pipeworks. Waco Pipeworks tells its employees to go into a room, shut the door, inside, 4 people in there. You will learn they tell them to turn on a pipe. They will tell their employees to let explosive gas come out of that pipe intentionally. If all is going according to plan, explosive gas is coming into that enclosed space with 4 people in it. Folks, this was on purpose. And you will learn that it doesn't need to be that way. It's not the way other folks in the industry are doing it, and it's certainly not the way you'll learn the rules require people to do it. So this was a dangerous position, and it's the one Waco Pipeworks put their employees in. But there is a reliable tool to keep their employees safe. Because folks, a few moments ago, the plaintiff also called what happened here a hidden danger. Well, you will learn that danger becomes a whole lot less hidden with this. The whole job of this detector is to make something that is invisible visible. Waco Pipeworks knew that. And we know they knew that because you'll learn they owned it. But here's the problem. They didn't train their employees to use it. And instead, folks, I got to preview what Waco Pipeworks was telling their employees to do instead of turning on a detector. It was this. You're going to learn that Waco Pipeworks told its employees to walk into that room, close the door, lick their finger, put it onto their wrist, put their wrist in front of a pipe to see if air is flowing out of it. Okay, and then at this point, when they know explosive gas is going to start coming out of that pipe, this is what you'll learn Waco Pipeworks tells its employers to do. Kneel down next to that pipe, put your nose 1 inch away from that pipe, sniff, wait 30 seconds, do it again, wait 30 more seconds, do it again, wait 30 more seconds, do it again. Keep doing that. You'll hear in this case for 2 hours. Every 30 seconds, hope that you will smell that gas when it comes out of that pipe. And once you do, quickly act, turn off that valve before too much explosive gas enters the room and there's an explosion. That's the method Waco Pipeworks tells its employees to do instead of this. There was a $29 solution to save Mr. Porter's life. They just didn't tell their employees to use it. And so throughout this trial, it's going to be all of your job to essentially compare some companies. We've got Kratos Energy, which the plaintiff has talked about, they're providing the gas. And then we've got Waco Pipeworks, which we've talked a whole lot about, and they're the ones that are supervising the plumbers who are actually working with the gas. And so we got to talk a little bit about Kratos' job. And you will learn that Kratos has rules to follow too. They got to put odor in their gas. Folks, you'll learn Kratos didn't break a single rule. You'll learn that Kratos did everything that they were supposed to do in order to make sure that when they provided that gas to the work site, everything was fine. You'll learn the problem happened when Kratos lost control of their product and Waco Pipeworks gained control of that product. You will learn there's nothing Kratos Energy can do to make sure that the people that use their product follow their rules. And so by the end of today's case, I'm going to come back up here after we hear a whole lot more evidence about what happened. And I'm going to ask that you all find Kratos not liable, but instead find that the fault and the responsibility is with the folks that employed Mr. Porter, Waco Pipeworks. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, counsel. The plaintiff can call its first witness.
Yes, Your Honor, the plaintiff calls Jordan Covington to the stand.
Mr. Covington, Ms. Covington? Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please be seated.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Jordan Covington.
What do you do for a living, Miss Covington?
I'm a plumber
How long have you been a plumber?
since I graduated high school, so 24 years.
Do you have any additional certifications?
I do.
What are those certifications?
Well, my title is technically master plumber, so I'm certified from beginning from an apprenticeship through a journeyman into that higher level.
You mentioned you were a master plumber. How long have you been a master plumber for?
Since maybe 12 years.
And do you know why you're here today, Miss Covington?
I do.
Can you tell us?
I'm here because I was in the room from the explosion that killed Riley Porter.
Now, I know this may be difficult for you, Miss Covington, so I'm going to have to walk you through the events before the explosion, and if you need a moment at any point, you just let me know, okay?
Okay.
Where were you working on June 25th, 2024?
I was working at the Waco Memorial Hospital project.
And what exactly were you doing there?
I was assigned as the team lead for Waco Pipeworks for the plumbing aspects of the project.
And who was there with you?
On that day, in that room specifically, it was a couple other plumbers and Riley Porter.
Holding up Exhibit 50? Do you recognize who this is?
I do.
Who is it?
On the top left is Riley Porter.
And what was he doing that day with you?
He was there as a helper.
What was he helping you do?
So he wasn't a plumber, but helpers are there to assist us in things such as carrying pipe around.
I want to get into what you were doing with these pipes, Miss Covington. What were you connecting them to?
So in that project, on that specific day, we were connecting from the gas meter to run down about 400 feet into the boiler room of the hospital.
Let's get some basic facts about these boilers. How do they work?
So boilers are what's used to provide central heating inside buildings. So they rely on natural gas to ignite to heat up the water inside the boiler.
And when the natural gas ignites to heat up the water, can that be dangerous?
Natural gas is inherently dangerous, yes.
And let's talk about what you do to safeguard that. Is there any kind of special procedure that you do before you connect the natural gas to the boiler?
Yes.
And what is that procedure?
We have to do a process that's called purging the line.
Let's take a look at what that looks like. Publishing, Your Honor, Exhibit 52 for demonstrative purposes. Do you know what this is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's an animation explaining the purging project.
Have you seen that before trial today?
I have.
Does it accurately reflect the purging process as you're familiar with it?
It does.
Will it help in explaining your testimony today?
It would.
Let's start the video going to second number 6. What is that thing on the left?
That's the gas meter.
And what's the thing on the right?
That's the boiler,
What's the thing connecting them?
the pipe.
Okay, moving on to second 16. What's happened there, Miss Covington?
So when pipe is installed, it will trap air, oxygen inside it when it's just sitting there. So this is just depicting the air that's trapped inside the pipe currently.
And can that be a problem for air to be trapped inside the pipe?
Yes, having oxygen inside of a pipe makes it more combustible. So that's why we do this process to remove all that air.
Let's see how that's done. Moving forward in the video to second 28 at 2 times speed. Okay, what is that red thing that just entered the pipes?
So from the meter over to the boiler, the red thing is the natural gas pushing that air through.
Where is it pushing that air?
There's a little bleeder valve right next to the boiler there, so it's just out of a small hole. It's pressing its way through the pipe.
Playing the video to the end. Thank you. We can take that down, Miss Alphonse. You mentioned that it pushes the air out the bleeder valve. What happens then to the natural gas remaining in the pipe?
So as the natural gas travels through, once there's no air remaining, we know that it's connected fully to the boiler, but then some natural gas will start escaping out of the bleeder valve once there's no air left.
And when the natural gas starts escaping, what is it you're supposed to do?
Close the valve.
How do you know when to close the valve?
You're supposed to be able to smell it when it's escaping.
Is that typically how you detect the gas in your field?
It's how everyone does it, yes.
Objection, speculation.
Sustain.
Is that typically how you've done it at Waco Pipeworks?
Yes.
Your Honor, could I get Exhibit 14? Thank you. Holding up Exhibit 14. Do you know what this is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a combustible gas detector.
What does it do?
It detects both the presence and the concentration of natural gas inside the room.
And is it standard practice, based on what you've seen at Waco Pipeworks, for you to use this meter before you smell the gas?
No.
Have you worked with other plumbers before?
Yes.
Have you seen them do it any differently?
No.
You mentioned the master plumber exam that you took. Did that mention anything about the gas detector being used before you smell the gas?
No.
And let's move on to who could have warned you. Publishing, or Your Honor, permission to approach opposing counsel with Exhibit 6, and then the witness in turn.
You may.
Thank you.
There you go. What did I just give you, Miss Covington?
Exhibit 6 is an email.
And who is it an email to?
It's an email that was sent to me, Brian Burke, and Megan Rotundi.
Who is Megan Rotundi?
She's an employee of Kratos.
Your Honor, we move to enter this exhibit into evidence.
No objections.
Will be admitted without objection.
What is this email about?
This email's about the general contractor notifying us that they were going to start running gas into the pipes.
Who else were they notifying?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Were they notifying the defendant as well?
Yes.
Let's take a look at that email on the screen. Publishing Exhibit 6 and looking specifically at the third sentence where Miss Alphonse has the laser pointer. Do you see that, Miss Covington?
I do.
Can you read that sentence for us?
Says, we gave Kratos a heads up on this as well, and they're copied here, so they can let us know if there are any issues.
Did Kratos reply with any issues?
No.
Anywhere in this email chain, did they say the smell in their gas could fade?
No.
Did they say anything in this email about odor fade?
No.
If they didn't say nothing,
No.
and if they didn't say anything, sorry, Ms. Covington, no question pending at the moment. If they didn't say anything, then let's move to see what happened in this case. We can take that down, Miss Alphonse. You mentioned you were purging the pipes. Miss Covington, were you able to smell the gas at any point?
No,
How often did you check?
every 30 to 45 seconds.
And every 30 to 45 seconds, could you smell the gas?
No,
Did you ask if other people could smell the gas?
I did.
How did they respond?
They just shook their heads.
Then what happened in that boiler room, Miss Covington?
Natural gas was leaking out. We were unaware, and it exploded.
When the explosion happened, could you hear or see anything?
There was a loud boom, a wall of fire rushed and knocked me back, and I was unconscious after.
Publishing Exhibit 13, already in evidence. Is this that boiler room you were in when it exploded?
Yes, it's what's left.
Did Riley Porter survive that?
No.
Thank you. We passed the witness, Your Honor.
Counsel?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Covington, good morning, or good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I want to talk to you a little bit more about your experience in this field. You've been doing this for a while, right?
24 years.
That's 24 years with working with natural gas?
As a plumber,
With natural gas?
yes.
And you've been doing all of that work with a company called Waco Pipeworks, right?
Up until 6 months ago, yes.
That's right. And I want to talk a little bit more about that in a moment, that you went to a new company. But under Waco Pipeworks, you were there for 24 years.
Yes.
You did your apprenticeship with Waco Pipeworks.
Yes.
All of your training,
Correct.
had all of your supervision,
Yes.
all of your certifications.
Yes.
It was your first job right out of high school.
It was.
Everything you learn on the job.
Yes.
And everything you learned from Waco Pipeworks.
Correct.
So I want to talk about the position that Waco Pipeworks put you in on the day that this happened. So it's June 25th of 2024, and Waco Pipeworks tells you to go to the work site at the Memorial Hospital, right?
Yes.
And you told us that you got to do something called purging the line.
Yes.
So you're in a room and you open the valve, right?
Correct.
Air starts flowing through the pipes.
Yes.
Explosive gas then starts flowing through the pipes.
Yes.
You got to make sure you smell that, right?
Correct.
Right when you smell it, you got to turn off that valve, right?
Yes.
Quickly,
Yes.
to avoid an explosion.
It's to avoid having the gas reach that level of it. That would be explosive, correct?
Right, and when you're doing that, you're inside, right?
On that project, yes.
On the day that this explosion happened, you were inside.
That's where the boiler room was. It was an indoor structure.
Exactly, so you're not hooking up a hose to go outside when you're bleeding this line.
No.
You were inside,
Yes.
door closed.
I don't remember if the door was closed, but we were inside a building.
Certainly in an enclosed room, right?
Sure.
And inside of that enclosed room, there was yourself
Yes.
and a few other folks,
Correct.
including Riley Porter.
Yes.
And so Waco Pipeworks told you to do it that way, right?
To bleed the line?
Yeah, bleed the line indoors, right?
Yes.
With folks inside the room, right?
They were my coworkers. They're helping me perform the project. They'd have to be there with me.
Understood. So Waco Pipeworks is sending out 4 people to be inside of an enclosed room while you're letting explosive gas into the room, yes?
Yes.
Okay, and I want to talk about the way that Waco Pipeworks tells you to detect that gas. So you're told to stand right near the pipe, right?
I need to be positioned near it so I can smell what's coming out of it.
Absolutely. So you got to be right near that pipe.
Yes.
And then you lick your finger, right?
Yes, to see if there's air coming out.
Right. Stick that to your wrist,
Yes.
up to the pipe.
Correct.
Make sure there's air coming out like you told us.
Yes.
And then you have to, at the same time, make sure that you're sniffing to see if there's gas.
Yeah, every 30 to 45 seconds.
Yeah, every 30 to 45 seconds, you gotta put your head down next to that pipe, right?
Yes.
1 inch away from it,
Close enough to be able to smell if there's gas coming out.
which is like 1 inch away from the pipe, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and then you sniff.
Yes.
If you don't smell gas, good, right?
Right, that means it's just air still coming out.
Exactly. And so you do that every 30 to 45 seconds.
Yes.
This project took about 2 hours.
The bleeding the line part, yes.
We're looking at, what is it, 240 times about that you're sticking your head down there and sniffing?
I haven't done the math, but I'll trust you on that one.
That's all right. I don't know if I did the math right anyway. Every 30 seconds, you got to remember to do that, right?
Yes.
To make sure that you smell it right when it happens, right?
Right.
To quickly turn off that valve, right?
Correct.
Before there's an explosion, right?
Before there's enough gas in the room to do so. Right.
But there is an easier way, isn't there?
To do what?
There is an easier way to detect explosive gas.
There's another way, yes.
Well, the other way is with a detector, right?
Yes.
A detector doesn't need to be 1 inch away from the pipe.
Not to my knowledge.
Detector doesn't rely on folks like you having to remember to get down there every 30 seconds, right?
No.
Doesn't rely on you making sure your nose is in tip-top condition, right?
I don't believe so, no.
I mean, this thing, you just got to turn it on, right?
And read it, but yes.
Well, it'll tell you, it'll make a sound if there's gas in the room, right?
Yes.
You told us earlier that you don't work for Waco Pipeworks anymore, right?
Correct.
You quit that job
About 6 months ago, I did.
after this explosion.
Yes.
You now work for another company called Bell County Pipe and Drain.
I do.
That company is doing same kind of work as Waco Pipeworks, right?
Yeah, I'm still a plumber, so plumbing.
Right, Waco Pipeworks still doing the same kind of work in the same area, right?
Yes.
Here in Waco.
Yes.
And they are about the same size as Waco Pipeworks.
I believe so.
That company tells you to use this.
Objection under Rule 403, Your Honor, if I may be heard.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Gorin asked about a lot of similarities between this new company and this old company. The problem, Your Honor, is that the key difference is that this company the witness went to work for after the accident in this case. As in, with the benefit of hindsight, now knowing that this gas detector is there, now knowing, we don't know, Your Honor, if the standards have changed, if their employee handbook has been updated, and in order for this to be probative, Your Honor, we have to establish that probative link. Otherwise, it goes to mislead the jury about the standards that we're here to discuss today. This is not a case about hindsight. This is a case about what was the standard of ordinary care at the time. And, Your Honor, it even touches on 407 issues.
Any response?
Yes, Your Honor. First of all, the employee handbook from this new company was revised in January of 2024, which is about 5 months prior to the explosion in this case. Furthermore, it is relevant to show that other people in this industry before the time of this explosion were requiring the use of a detector like this. It just was that Waco Pipeworks wasn't doing that. Furthermore, this is not inadmissible under Rule 407 because this is not something that happened after the explosion that the company at fault here changed. It's something that a company was doing before this explosion, before they knew anything about the risks that Waco Pipeworks is claiming not to know about.
May be heard, Your Honor?
You can limit your questions, Ms. Gorin, to this witness's personal experience based on their expertise.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Covington, this detector right here is something that you now use, yes?
Yes.
In the new company you work in.
Yeah, following the explosion, now that I know that sense of smell isn't enough, it's something I use.
Well, hang on, it's also something that the company requires.
Yes.
That company tells folks, don't rely solely on your nose.
The new one, yes.
The one that isn't Waco Pipeworks.
Right.
Waco Pipeworks certainly wasn't telling you to use anything else other than your nose.
Not at that time, no.
Not at any time.
No.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Do you know what the full name of this detector is, Ms. Covington?
It's a combustible gas detector.
What does combustible mean?
Combustible means that it's capable of igniting or flame.
In your experience, is gas automatically capable of exploding?
No, it has to reach a certain critical level to be combustible.
So based on your experience at Waco Pipe Works, is it standard to use this before the gas reaches that stage?
No,
Before you can smell the gas?
no.
Thank you. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Any recross?
No, Your Honor.
The witness may step down. Thank you. Mr. Allegri, you can call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Plaintiff calls Casey Crane to the stand.
Casey Crane. Mr. Crane, do you swear to the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Have a seat, please.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Casey Crane. I am a licensed engineer and the owner of Crane and Forensic Engineering Firm.
And could you please, just for the benefit of the court reporter, speak a little closer to the mic?
Yes.
As an engineer, what is your specialty?
My specialty is investigating explosions and critical gas accidents.
What is your education?
I have a bachelor's degree from Texas A&M University, and I have a master's in petrochemical engineering from the University of Houston.
Beyond those many degrees, Mr. Crane, do you have any practical experience with gas?
Well, yes, I do. I have worked in the gas field for 23 years at various companies.
Turning your attention to this case, what were you asked to do?
I was asked to write a report and do an investigation on the cause of the accident.
What method did you use to do that investigation?
I reviewed the exhibits in the case as well as the depositions from the various individuals.
And is that method standard in your field?
Yes, it is.
Did you apply that method in this case as you normally would in others?
Yes, I did.
Was the information you had sufficient to come to a conclusion?
Yes, it was.
Your Honor, the plaintiff offers Mr. Casey Crane as an expert in gas engineering.
Any objection?
Not in gas engineering, no.
Mr. Crane, let's start with the basics. Do you know what odor fade is?
Yes.
Can you explain what that is to us?
Odor phase is basically the leaching out of gas in a pipeline.
And are there factors that make odor fade more likely to happen?
Yes, there are. There are three things that make odor phase more prominent. One is the size of the line. Two, how long the gas has been in that line. And three, temperature. Higher the temperature, the more likely odor fade is to occur.
And what about pipes, new or old?
That is the last issue. New pipes are more likely to cause odor fade than older pipes.
Well, let's take a look at some of those risk factors one by one. Publishing Exhibit 25 for demonstrative purposes. Do you recognize this, Mr. Crane?
Yes, I do.
Did you review it before trial today?
Yes, I did.
What is this a video of?
It is a video of the different types of odor phase, how it occur in different types of pipe. New pipe, older pipe, and larger older pipes.
And does it accurately reflect that process based
Yes.
on your experience?
Yes, it does.
Would it be helpful in explaining your testimony today to go through this video?
Yes.
All right, I see 3 circles here. I'm not exactly a science guy. So let's start with the one on the left. What is that blue circle?
The one on the left is new pipe, and the little dots are molecules of percaptan. That is the odor-causing agent in gas.
Would it be fair to call that mercaptan the smell chemical?
Yes, it would be.
Let's take a look at what happens moving forward in the video. Okay, what just happened there, Mr. Crane?
What happened is you saw the gas mercaptan molecules stick to the inside of the pipe. And when that happens, that means the more molecules on the inside of the pipe, the fewer molecules in the actual gas itself.
You mentioned that this chemical gives the gas its smell. So if it gets absorbed by the pipes, what happens to the smell of the gas left inside the pipe?
You have less of a smell, which means you'll be harder to detect.
Well, if that's what happens with new pipes, let's talk about the middle circle. What's different with this one?
This one is an older pipe, and as you can see by the yellow circle, the odor-causing molecules are already attached, which means that as you go along, you'll have fewer molecules still in the gas itself.
And is there an analogy that you typically use in order to better help explain this?
Yes, I use a sponge. If you have a dry sponge, you can get so much water in that sponge. If you take a sponge that's already wet, it can absorb less water. If you take a sponge that's already saturated and dip it in water, you're going to get no water, any additional water on that sponge.
So let's take a look at what happens with that slightly wet sponge. Moving forward in the video. So why is some of the smell chemicals still inside the pipe?
Because it's a partially saturated sponge. As I said before, that sponge was already wet, as you can tell by the yellow circle that was already there. So when you ask it to absorb all, it can't. Some has to stay in the gas.
Well, if that's what happens with a slightly older pipe, let's talk about the circle on the right. What's different about this one?
As you can see by the yellow circle, you can tell that has much more of the odor molecules around the pipe.
How would this relate to that sponge analogy you mentioned?
That sponge analogy will tell you you're not going to get any more water in that sponge, which means you're going to get almost no of these molecules absorbing into the pipe.
So let's take a look at what happens, playing to the end of the video. So what happened?
As you can see, not many more molecules absorbed in the pipe.
And what does that mean for odor fade?
Which means odor fade means the newer the pipe, the less odor or molecules you'll have in the gas itself. So you will have less of a smell in that pipe when you try to detect it by smell only.
So which one is more dangerous, the newer pipes or the older pipes?
The newer pipes.
Another risk factor you mentioned was the size of the pipes. If these circles were bigger, how would that affect odor fade?
You would have more of a case of odor fade the larger the pipes. Larger the surface area, the more mercaptan or more of the odor-causing particles can be absorbed into the pipe.
Another risk factor you mentioned was temperature. If it was hotter here, how would that affect odor fade?
It is temperature sensitive. The hotter the chemical, the hotter the environment, the more you would have odor fade. And this is Texas, and everybody knows it's hot in Texas in summer. So you're going to have more of that effect of odor phase.
Thank you, Ms. Alphonse. We can take that down. Let's see if those risk factors were present in this case. Now, are you aware of the Waco Memorial Hospital project?
Yes.
You mentioned that it's hot in Texas. At what time was this project being done?
It was being done 2 in the afternoon in September.
And the pipes that they were using, was this old or new pipe?
It was new pipe.
How big were these pipes?
I believe they were 2-inch pipes.
And what does that mean for odor fade?
Odor fade means, one, you're going to have several of the items that's going to cause odor fade. New pipes, steel pipe, hot temperatures. You're going to have a lot of odor phase.
With that in mind, let's see if anybody knew about those risks. Publishing Exhibit 31, already in evidence. Are you familiar with this, Mr. Crane?
Yes.
What is it?
It is a email discussing odor phase.
And who is it an email from and to?
It is to someone at Craycos Company, and it is from someone else in Craycos Company.
What is the topic of this email, the subject line?
Odor phase.
And does this email discuss the risks of odor fade?
Yes, it does.
Are those the same ones we were talking about earlier?
Yes, they are.
How many of those risks we were talking about earlier are mentioned in this email?
I believe all of them are mentioned.
Thank you, Ms. Alphonse. We can take that down. If that's what was in the defendant's email, let's talk about whether they should have said something. Now, based on your experience, is it typical for gas companies to warn their commercial customers about odor fade?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, approaching Ms. Gorin with exhibits 26 through 29.
Thank you.
Approaching the witness. Do you recognize what I just gave you?
Yes, you did.
What are these?
These are safety bulletins by various companies.
Are they fair and accurate copies?
Yes, they are.
Have they been changed or altered in any way?
Not that I can tell. No, they have not.
Plaintiff moves to enter exhibits 26 through 29 into evidence, Your Honor.
No objections.
So admitted.
How many of these gas companies warn their commercial customers about odor fade?
All of them.
And what number is that? How many?
I believe there are 6 here. Excuse me, 5. Yes,
Let's
all
talk
5.
about. Very good. Let's talk about another one. Are you aware of Chevron Phillips?
Yes.
Who is Chevron Phillips?
Chevron Phillips is a supplier of mercaptan
Who do they supply that smell chemical
to the company, energy company.
And is that the energy company in this case?
Yes, it is.
So let's see what the Chevron Phillips says to the person they give the smell chemical to. Publishing Exhibit 30, going on page 1 at the bottom of the page. Are you familiar with this document?
Yes, I am.
What is this document?
It is their safety data sheet, talks about mercaptan and the odor phase.
Is this a warning about odor fade to the defendant?
Yes, it is.
Let's see how they tell the defendant to use this warning. Flipping to page 2 at the bottom of section 1. What does it say here?
It says, educate yourself, your employees, and your customers with the content of this warning and other important facts associated with the so-called odor fade phenomenon.
Based on what you reviewed, did the defendant in this case share this warning with the plumbers?
Not to my knowledge.
Then based on best practices in the industry and your experience, what was your final conclusion about
My
the
final conclusion was that the defendant did not give proper notice to the plumbing company.
Thank you. We pass the witness, Your Honor.
Any cross, Ms. Gordon?
Yes, Your Honor, and if I could ask for that to come back on the screen. Thank you. Mr. Crane, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, you just told us that your final conclusion was that Kratos did not provide proper notice about odor fade, right?
Yes.
Based off of what we're looking at up here in Exhibit 50?
Yes.
Exhibit 50 is not the law, is it?
No.
There is no law requiring Kratos to warn its customers about odor fade, is there?
No, but there is a requirement about safety and the use of gas and gas.
That's exactly right. So there are rules about what Kratos has to do to make their product safe, right?
Yes.
Like adding odor to it.
Yes.
Kratos did that, right?
To their employees or to who they sold it to?
Well, Kratos added an odor to their product, right?
Yes.
And then gave that product over to Waco Pipeworks, right?
Yes.
We can go ahead and take that down. Thank you. Okay, so we've been talking about the warnings that Kratos is giving to its customers. Now, you just told us that Kratos isn't required by law to warn their customers about odor fade, yes?
Did I say? I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. Kratos is not required by law to warn its customers about odor fade. Right?
Yes.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
But they still do, don't they?
Not that I know of.
Mr. Crane, are you not aware that Kratos warns all of its residential customers what odor fade is?
But you said everyone. That the plumbing company is not a residential customer.
That is exactly right. So first, Kratos does warn its residential customers about odor fade, right?
Yes,
just not its commercial customers.
that is correct.
And you told us Waco Pipeworks is not a residential customer.
Right, so they didn't give them adequate warning.
Well, I'd like to talk about if the warning actually was adequate. I mean, a residential customer is maybe you and I in a house, right?
That is correct.
Sending gas into maybe a hot water heater,
Yes,
heating up a stove, something like that.
that is correct.
Folks like me in our house don't have special training about how to use explosive gas necessarily.
That is correct.
We don't have certifications,
Yes, that's correct.
25 years of experience as a plumber.
That's correct.
However, the folks at Waco Pipeworks do, right?
Yes,
Commercial customers are in the industry too, right?
yes,
They're gas professionals too.
yes,
They work with explosive gas too.
that is correct.
And this phenomenon, odor fade, it's not new.
No,
It's been around since the 70s.
yes,
There's been studies since the 90s.
yep,
People have been posting stuff about it since that whole time, right?
yes,
There have been warnings about it posted publicly, right?
yes,
For anyone to go look at.
that is correct.
So I want to talk about what Waco Pipeworks did. So you told us they're gas professionals too, right?
Yes,
They told their employees to do a certain method when they're purging a line, right?
I assume they did.
Well, you reviewed the evidence of what
Yes.
that method was. Okay, so that method is their employees go into an enclosed space, right?
Yes,
Indoors, right?
yes,
Turn on that valve.
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
yes,
Let that air come through,
yes,
and then explosive gas comes through,
yes,
and then they shut off that valve,
yes,
and they're relying only on their nose to,
That is
to
correct.
detect it.
that is correct.
That process is against the law, isn't it?
Is that yes, but they were following what Kratos told them. Am
Oh,
I correct?
Hang on, Mr. Crane. Kratos certainly did not tell Waco Pipeworks to expel explosive gas into an enclosed space, right?
Did they tell them no?
Right. Kratos didn't tell them to do that.
Right.
That was Waco Pipeworks that told its employees to do that. Right?
Yes,
And that is against the law, right?
yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
The witness may step down. Thank you, Mr. Crane. Mr. Allegri, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor. At this time, we rest our case in chief.
Very well. The jury will constructively be excused for a short recess. Any matters to be taken up in the meantime?
Not from the defense, Your Honor.
Not from the plaintiff, Your Honor.
Then we'll take a short recess. We'll be in recess. Yes. Please be seated. Defendant can call its first witness.
The defense calls Carter Emmerich to the stand.
All right, sir. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Have a seat, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please introduce yourself to us.
My name is Carter Emmerich.
Mr. Emmerich, I see your logo on your shirt. Can you tell us what you do for a living?
I'm Vice President of Operations at Kratos Energy.
I want to talk about your specific role there in just a moment, but tell us, what is Kratos Energy?
It's a supplier of natural gas to residences and commercial operations
For what kind of purpose?
for heating homes, heating businesses.
And your job there, what are you doing?
I oversee a number of different operations, primarily compliance and safety requirements, that sort of thing. But also, I'm supervisor of some of the commercial projects and things like that.
You mentioned safety there. Is there any safety risks associated with the product you're selling?
Natural gas? Oh, yes. I think the obvious one is it's combustible.
Any way to make that less likely to happen?
How you take care of the gas that you have in your possession, yes.
And how's that?
One of the ways is to prevent it from accumulating at certain levels that are prone then to explosion.
How is it that your company allows customers to make sure it's not accumulating to that explosive limit?
They are, I'm not sure I quite understand that question.
Let me make
Sorry.
this clear. No, that's my fault. Let me make this clearer. Do you add anything to your
Oh,
product?
yeah. I mean, one of the problems with natural gas is that it has no odor. And so you're not aware of its presence in its natural state. And so we are required to add something to the natural gas before we sell it to our customers that would allow people to smell it, to be aware of the fact that it was present in the air.
Okay, so I want to turn our attention now to what happened in this case. Did your company provide gas to Waco Pipeworks?
We did, yes.
And was that back in June of 2024?
It was.
Okay, what was that for?
For the hospital project that they were involved in, they were expanding a local hospital, and that required adding additional heating capacity and things like that.
When your company provided that gas to Waco Pipeworks, was there an odor in it?
Yes, we added mercaptan to it, as everybody does.
Did you test it to make sure that that odor was still in it
Yes,
before the explosion?
before the explosion, yes.
Okay, I want to take a look at those test results with you. Your Honor, I'm approaching opposing counsel with Exhibit 40 for identification and approaching the witness. Mr. Emmerich, walk us through this. What are we looking at in Exhibit 40?
This is the odorization test that we conducted prior to the explosion.
How close to the day of the explosion was this tested?
The week before, I believe.
Is this exactly what the test results look like to you when you saw them in its original form?
Yes.
The defense offers Exhibit 40,
Any objection?
No objections, Your Honor.
Will be admitted without objection.
publishing to the jury. Okay, just 1 week before the day of this explosion, what were the results of this test for your gas?
That it essentially was safe. It didn't. The odor was sufficiently strong enough that you would have been able to perceive it if it was released into the air.
At the point that this test was done, was the gas already in the possession of Waco Pipeworks?
Yes.
Okay, well then let's talk about what we know about the gas after the explosion. Was the gas tested after the day of this
I
explosion?
believe it was 2 days after the explosion we tested the gas again.
2 days after the explosion, Was there still odor in the gas your company provided?
Yes, it was still, the odorization was still sufficient to be detectable.
To be detectable before it became a risk of explosion?
Oh, wait, yes, yes, significantly.
Okay, so I want to get a sense of what kind of information you're required to tell your customers about stuff like the odor you're putting in there.
We're not required to tell them anything about the odor we put in there.
Well, do you still?
We do, yeah. We tell them we do put in this chemical to make it so they can smell it, but we primarily focus that information on our residential customers
Tell us why.
because the residential customers are like the average person who doesn't have the scientific background to appreciate the risks, the hazards that natural gas potentially poses.
Objection, speculation.
Response?
Yes, Your Honor. This witness is testifying that folks like normal people without expertise wouldn't have knowledge that there are specific scientific things about natural gas. That's certainly something that he can talk about.
I'll
May
allow
be
it.
heard, Your Honor.
I'll allow it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you told us that residential customers might not have the scientific knowledge to know about the odor and the odor fading.
Right.
Compare that for us with your commercial customers. Like
Commercial customers who deal with it every day in their business have a motivation to appreciate the risks and the dangers of the products that they're dealing with.
Objection, speculation, Your Honor. May be heard.
Yes.
Yes, this goes a little further. Now he's talking about motivation. That is textbook speculation diving into someone's mindset.
That's sustained. Move along.
Move to strike?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let me ask you, Mr. Emmerich, Waco Pipe Works, is that a commercial customer
It
of
is.
yours? Okay, so I want to take a look at the information that you are putting out there. Your Honor, I'm publishing Exhibit 34. It's already in evidence. Mr. Emmerich, tell us what we're looking at here with Exhibit 34.
It's our webpage.
Is this public?
Yes.
In this webpage, are you warning folks about a concept called odor fade?
Yes.
I see it right there. We're highlighting it. You told us that this is public. Can your residential customers look at it?
Yes, and so can the commercial customers.
Got it. Okay, so now you've told us that you have explained what odor fade is to the public. I want to get a sense of what kind of control you have over your product versus how much control other folks have over your product.
Okay.
So in an installation project like the one at Waco Memorial Hospital, give me the high-level main parts of the gas system.
They would be the meter where we turn the gas basically over to the customer. That's where the gas would enter the operation. And there's the pipe from the meter to whatever it is they're going to use the gas to operate. In this case, it was a boiler. And those are the principal components.
Can I get you to break that down a little bit more for us? I'm going to have you draw that so that we can all understand what you're talking about.
I'm left-handed, so there's a risk.
No worries. That's all right with me. Your Honor, may this witness step down?
You may.
Okay, Mr. Emmerich, I'm going to have you join me over here. Is it easier on this side then for you?
No, this side.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to give you that pen. Go ahead and draw a square and write meter.
Objection, leading.
I'll allow it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that second part of the gas system, what was it?
It's the pipe.
Okay, I see you're drawing a line out with the word pipe over it. That third part?
This would be the boiler.
Okay, we have a new square with the word boiler in it connecting to the pipe. Okay, let me give you now another color. I'll take that one, thank you. Okay. What part of this gas system does Kratos Energy have control over?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for legal conclusion may be heard.
Yes, you may.
Yes, Your Honor. The specific word that we have an issue with is the word control. That is a legal term here, Your Honor, and it will confuse the issues for the jury because for them to hear the word control, that's something that they're here to decide today. Who had the responsibility and where did that responsibility stop? We're fine with them talking about the facts that go to that control, but to use the terminology of control is something that takes it a step too far.
Ms. Goring?
Yes, Your Honor, the word control is not a legal term. This is something that Mr. Emmerich is testifying to in referring to the fact that only Kratos Energy is allowed to test the gas in this meter, and that once the gas leaves this meter, there is nothing that Kratos Energy can do. Using the word control precisely describes the information that Mr. Emmerich is giving us and is not something that the jury needs to discover for themselves.
Just keep it to what they're physically controlled as far as a pipe, not legally responsible for.
Absolutely.
And I could ask for a clarification. Does that mean that they can't use the word control or that they can?
As long as they specify physical control of it, not legal
Yes, Your Honor.
responsibly.
And could we ask for a limiting instruction for the jury to the extent that it's needed?
So ordered.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Emmerich, what part of this gas system does Kratos Energy have physical control over?
Physical control over the gas in the meter. In other words, that's where the only input we have into the process is when the gas is in the meter.
I see you drew a blue circle. Can I have you write a K under for Kratos? Great. The pipes. Who has physical control over what's going on at the pipes?
The installer, in this case, it would be the PWP would have control over that.
You said PWP, is that Pipe Works?
Yeah.
Great. Can we get a PW under pipe? Once we're over here at the boiler, who has physical control?
Same, be the plumbers, the people who are doing the installation, or in this case, Pipeworks.
Great, let's do a PW under there. Okay,
Told you I was left-handed.
it's not a problem. I'll take the pen from you. Before I let you sit down, while Kratos has physical control over the gas in the meter, what is it that y'all are doing?
We're just sending the gas to that point, and then it's up to the customer what they do with it from that point on.
And when you say you're just sending it through, are you testing it? Are you making sure everything's okay? What's going on?
I mean, like we tested, as you noted earlier, we tested it for the odorization prior to the purging that was done here. So in cases, we would monitor things like that.
Once that product of yours leaves your physical control, how much control, physical control, do you have over what's going on this
We
side?
have no physical control, no input into how it's used once it leaves the meter.
So can you force your customers to follow their own rules on their end of the bargain?
No.
Okay, you go ahead and take your seat. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmerich. Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time. May I mark this as defense A?
Yeah, you may. Mr. Allegri, any across?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to start right where you left off on direct examination. You got up here, right, Mr. Emmerich? And you drew on this chart, right?
Drew all this?
You drew on this chart, right?
Yes.
And when you drew on this chart, you showed us where the meter was, right?
Yes.
Isn't it true that those tests you showed us earlier where they said the odorization was sufficient, they were at this meter, right?
Yes.
They don't show whether the smell stayed after they went beyond the meter, right?
We have no control over that, right?
I'm not asking you if you had any control over it. I'm asking you whether the smell could have been retained after it went through the meter, right?
We don't know what happens to it after it leaves the meter.
Right, you don't know. Is that a yes? You don't know?
Yes.
But what you do know is that it's your gas going through the meter, right?
It's our gas that goes into the meter, yes.
It's your gas that goes through the pipe, right?
Yes.
It's your gas that goes to the boiler, right?
Yes.
Now, you know that gas can be dangerous.
Yes.
This is something that you provide to your customers. The gas you provide it to your
Yes.
customers. You know that gas can be deadly.
Lots of things can be deadly, yes.
And when you provide that deadly gas to your customers, you put a safety feature on it, right?
I'm not sure I understand what you're
I'm
asking.
happy to clarify. You add a smell to the gas.
Yes.
And that's you describe as a safety feature.
Yes.
This is the only safety feature that your company adds to your gas.
It's the only safety feature we are required to add to the gas. Yes.
The only safety feature that you add to your gas.
The only
It
one we
can
are
fail.
required to ask to the
I
gas.
haven't finished my question yet. Please wait for the question and then answer. All right, Mr. Emmerich?
I will do that.
The only safety feature that you add to your gas, you know it can fail.
Well, since it's the only safety feature we are required to add to the gas, then that would be true.
You know that that smell can fade.
In very limited circumstances, things can happen, yes.
We'll get to those limited circumstances in a moment. And now, the odor fade, you're aware of that term, right?
Like everybody else in the industry, of course.
Everybody else in the gas industry. you're
Everybody
talking
else who
about, right?
uses gas commercially and is in the process of installing gas features or providing gas, it's universally known.
I'm not asking you to speculate beyond the gas industry, sir.
I'm not speculating. I'm
All
giving you
right.
my personal experience.
So wait for a question again, and then when the question is done, answer the question, all right?
Sure,
Okay. Now, you're aware of odor fade, right?
I am.
You were aware of this term before trial today.
Yes,
You know what it is.
yes,
It's when the smell in the gas can disappear, right?
yes,
And you knew that in this case, there was a high risk of odor fade, right?
no,
Let's talk about it. Publishing Exhibit 31. You're familiar with this, right?
yes,
This is a document that's internal to your company, right?
yes,
You're actually one of the people that this was sent to, right?
yes,
Along with other executives, right?
yes,
And you had your engineer go and look at the literature on odor fade, right?
yes,
And present the findings in this email, right?
yes,
You can see there's multiple paragraphs here, right?
yes,
This discusses to you the risks of odor fade, right?
yes,
And it goes through the specific risks of odor fade, right?
yes,
Let's look at paragraph 4 at one of those risks. Zooming in, you can see the bottom there, it says commercial and industrial facilities, right?
yes,
You know what the Waco Memorial Hospital project is, right?
I do.
Waco Memorial Hospital, that's a commercial facility, right?
It is.
Let's take a look at the third paragraph. Zooming in, this one talks about temperature in the middle. You can see there, right?
I do.
You're aware that the project in this case, it was in June, right?
Yes.
June's in the summer, right?
In Texas, yes,
And in Texas, the summer can get pretty hot, right?
it can.
So you are aware that these risks posed an obvious problem to your company when it came to customer safety, right?
That's not what it says.
Really? Let's take a look. Look at the first paragraph. Let's zoom in, Miss Alphonse. And please read silently as I read aloud at the second sentence. This obviously can present a problem for us in terms of customer safety, given that odorization is both required under the law and is the primary and in many cases the only safety measure associated with the natural
It
gas
says,
Kratos supplies to its customers.
it
Did I
says
read
it-
that correctly?
it says it can present a problem. It doesn't say how significant. If you look above that, it says in very limited circumstances.
Want to move to strike as non-responsive?
It's ordered.
Did I read that correctly, sir?
You read it, but your characterization of it was
The only
incorrect.
question I'm asking is whether I read it correctly. And
Yes.
I read it correctly, yes? Let's talk about what you did with that information, because you did not forward this in email to the plumbers in this case, right?
It wasn't for them, no.
So you didn't forward it.
Since it wasn't for them, the answer is no.
All right, we can take that down, Miss Alphonse. I'd like to talk about what other gas companies in your industry do. Now, isn't it true that they do warn their commercial customers about the risks of odor fade, right?
Not everyone.
Well, let's take a look at some of them. Publishing Exhibit 26. This is from PG&E, right?
That's a company, yes.
They're a gas company, right?
They are.
You can see the title there, Natural Gas Odor Fade, right?
Yes.
Let's look at Exhibit 26, publishing for the members of the jury. This is from Philadelphia Gas Works, right?
Yes.
That's another gas company, right?
Yes.
You can see the title there, Natural Gas Odorant and Odor Fade, right?
Yes.
Let's look at 28, publishing for the members of the jury. This is from Centerpoint Energy, right?
Yes.
And if you look at the second blue heading, it says Odor Fade, right?
Yes.
Let's look at one more, Exhibit 29. This is from National Grid, right?
Yes.
That's another energy company.
Yes,
You can see the title there, Odor Fade and Purging Operations, right?
yes,
You know who Chevron Phillips is?
yes,
They're the people that give you the chemical you add to your gas to give it the smell, right?
they are, yes.
Let's take a look at what they tell you about odor fade. Publishing Exhibit 30, page 1, at the bottom, you can see this is an odor fade warning to your company, right?
Yes.
Let's take a look at what they tell you to do with that warning. Moving on to the next page, at the bottom, please read silently as I read aloud. Educate yourself, your employers, and your customers with the content of this warning and other important facts associated with the so-called odor fade phenomenon. Did I read that correctly, sir?
You read that correctly.
You can take that down, Miss Alphonse. The plumbers in this case, you did not send them an email about odor fade. No?
No,
You did not give them a call about odor fade.
no,
You didn't go to them in person and tell them about odor fade, right?
no,
You didn't say anything to them about odor fade.
no.
Thank you. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Emmerich, we heard about some things that you may not have done to inform people about odor fade. What did you do to inform people about odor fade?
We published the webpage that you saw that was available to anybody who was interested in that sort of thing. We worked with residential customers to make sure they understood the risks of dealing with natural gas.
And I want to take a look back over here at what we've made. We heard about some of the risk factors that make it more likely for odor fade. Whose choice was it to install these types of pipes?
The plumbing company here,
Was that Waco Pipe Works?
Waco Pipeworks, yeah.
Whose idea was it to install these pipes in the middle of September in Texas?
In June,
That's right, in June in Texas.
it was Waco Plumbing, yeah.
Whose idea was it to use this particular size of pipes?
Waco Pipeworks, yeah.
And who's got physical control of these pipes?
Waco Pipe,
How about the boiler? Whose idea was it to install this boiler?
Waco Pipe,
Who's got physical control of this boiler?
Waco Pipe.
Nothing further, Your Honor. May this witness be excused?
Any recalls?
No, Your Honor.
The witness may step down. Please call your next witness.
The defense calls Rory Bloomberg to the stand.
Ms. Bloomberg, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Have a seat, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please introduce yourself to us.
Hi, I'm Rory Bloomberg.
What do you do?
I run my own consulting firm. It's called Bloomberg Human Factors and Safety Consulting.
What kind of consulting is that?
It's consulting on workplace safety and human factors.
Workplace safety. What kind of experience do you have in that field?
Well, after I got done with school, I started working at OSHA. So I was a compliance and safety officer at OSHA for 5 years, and it's just a lot of training to do with that. And as of now, I am also an authorized trainer for OSHA, which means I train construction workers and other people in hazardous fields on safety.
Just remind me, what's OSHA?
OSHA is the Occupational Health and Safety Administration.
Back when you were working at OSHA, how many investigations into workplace safety did you do?
More than 100.
Okay, let's talk about what you're doing here. What's your involvement in this case?
I was asked to review the workplace safety standards and procedures that were in place in and around this case.
The way you did that in this case, was it the same kind of way you did it when you worked at OSHA?
Yes.
All right, I want to take a step back and just get a general sense of who's in control of who. So what do OSHA regulations tell us about who's in charge of keeping employees safe?
Generally, the employer is in charge of keeping.
Objection, Your Honor, under 403, if I may be heard.
You may.
Yes, Your Honor. Now to get into whether there's specific code compliance in this case or what regulations in the workman's compensation context say that goes to confuse the issues for the jury today substantially more so than it is probative, Your Honor. The defense in this case, when they raised a third-party liability defense, they didn't raise a negligence per se case defense, Your Honor. This goes towards negligence per se. More than that, Your Honor, to talk about specific OSHA regulations talks about an entirely different context. If Your Honor looks at the pretrial order, that last part of the pretrial order says very clearly that the reason the plaintiff couldn't even bring this case against Waco Pipeworks is because workman's compensation is something that exists in this state, and they're precluded from doing so. That shows very clearly, Your Honor, that these are two completely different standards, and the jury will be confused about them.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes, Your Honor. This is not getting into the details of workers' comp suits. This is specifically as to the standard of care that Waco Pipeworks has for its employees. This expert can rely on her opinions about the OSHA regulations to inform her conclusions about whether what Waco Pipeworks did was reasonable as it pertained to how they kept their employees safe or failed to do so at the work site in today's case.
May be heard, Your Honor?
You may.
The standard of care as to OSHA and what workman's compensation requires is different from the standard of care in this case, the standard of ordinary care as to what other plumbers would do in this industry. Ms. Gorin said several times throughout this trial, no law was broken, this rule was violated, this rule was violated. Now this is going even a step further by going into the specific regulations that will confuse the jury as to what this regulation means, and is that the standard of care we're here to decide, or is this the standard of care we're here to decide?
Also stating the plaintiff's objection.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Bloomberg, tell us, when Waco Pipeworks was doing this construction project at Waco Memorial Hospital, who were its employees?
It was Waco Pipeworks employees.
I want to have you help us understand whose employees were at certain parts of this project. So I'm going to have you help us out with this demonstrative too. Your Honor, may this witness step down?
She may.
Okay, I'm going to hand you this red marker. Now, we see that the pipes and the boilers, Pipeworks had physical control over those parts. Whose employees were working on the pipes and the boiler?
Waco Pipeworks employees.
And whose employees were working at the meter?
That would be Waco Pipeworks employees as well, but Kratos employees were there too.
So who had the responsibility to keep its employees safe at the meter?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for a legal conclusion again, the word responsibility here. We'd ask for a limiting instruction or that they clarify exactly what they mean by responsibility.
You can clarify, Ms. Gordon.
I'm sorry, Your
You
Honor.
can clarify.
Of course. Ms. Bloomberg, when you say responsibility, what are you talking about?
Generally, who controls the actions of those employees, it comes down to their employer. The employer is responsible for the actions and the conduct of their employees generally.
Are we talking about training too?
Yes,
Diff-
training, supervision, things like that.
Got it. So when you say responsibility, who has responsibility over the employees at the meter?
It would be Kratos employees when Kratos employees are there, and Waco Pipeworks when Waco Pipeworks employees are there.
And then who's got control or responsibility, as you've defined it, over the employees at the pipe and the boiler?
That would be Waco Pipeworks.
Would you tell us and use that red marker for us so we can see where the dividing line is between Kratos employees and Waco Pipeworks employees?
Yes, it would be just at the end of the meter here.
All right, you're adding a red line right at the end of the meter before the pipe. I'll take that, and you can take your seat. I want to focus us in on this side where Pipeworks had responsibility for its employees. What did you determine was the way Waco Pipeworks kept their employees safe on the job?
Well, we can look at their employee handbook, but generally on this job, they just instructed them to detect the natural gas, in this case, with their noses by smelling it.
Is there a problem with that?
Yes, there is.
Explain.
Well, The International Fuel Gas Code, which is the International Fuel Gas Organization, sets minimum standards for people engaged in hazardous natural gas activity like this. And that code requires that you don't just rely on your nose, but that you actually do use a combustible gas detector.
A detector, is that what we see here in Exhibit 14?
Yes, it is.
Do you know if Waco Pipeworks had a detector?
I do.
So then what's the problem?
They never used it. It stayed in their toolkit the entire time.
Did the supervisors at Waco Pipeworks ever train their employees to use it?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Instead, they had them do what?
Just use their nose, bend down, and sniff, essentially.
Okay, what about the way that Waco Pipeworks trained its employees to purge that gas from the line? Any issues with that?
Yes, there are issues with that. The International Fuel Gas Code also requires that you don't bleed a line, as it were, indoors. It needs to be vented outdoors so that there's no chance that levels of combustible gas could accumulate in an indoor space such that it could explode.
Objection, Your Honor, may be heard.
May.
For the very same reasons that Your Honor sustained the objection about OSHA regulations to now go into other kinds of regulations doesn't mean that they can escape the issue that this is not a negligence per se case, and this will confuse the jury substantially as to what's the standard they're supposed to decide.
May I respond?
You may.
Your Honor, the jury instructions that Your Honor has already approved for this jury allows them to use different rules and regulations, and whether or not Pipeworks followed those in coming to their conclusions about what was reasonable for Pipeworks to do. This is certainly allowed for the jury to hear in evaluating the reasonableness of their actions.
May be
Deny
heard,
the
Your Honor?
objection, Mr. Lecker. You can bring it up on cross.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Bloomberg, remind us what was the issue with purging that indoors?
Well, natural gas being combustible can accumulate in an indoor space, or really any space where it can accumulate, that can become dangerous. And so not venting it outdoors is highly dangerous.
You said highly dangerous, and is it also illegal?
Yes,
According to who?
according to the International Fuel Gas Code and the National Fuel Gas Code.
Objection, Your Honor, may be heard.
Yes.
This takes it even a step further using the word illegal, Your Honor. We move to strike that from the record.
Ms. Gordon?
Your Honor, for the same reasons Your Honor denied the original objection, it is allowed for the jury to understand whether or not they are following regulations and rules in assessing the reasonableness of their actions on that day, or how unreasonable they were if they weren't following the rules.
I'll allow, Mr. Lecker, you can bring it up on cross as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want to quickly look at some of those rules with you. I won't take too long with it. I'm approaching opposing counsel with Exhibit 32. It's already in evidence. May I approach?
You may.
Thank you.
Ms. Bloomberg, high level, what are we looking at here?
This is the National Fuel Gas Code.
Where in here do we see that you should not be purging explosive gas indoors?
Your Honor, just a point of clarification. We'd ask this be admitted into evidence before they read about it.
Any objection?
No objection to the document, Your Honor, per your previous rulings. We just ask they admit it into evidence before discussing the contents.
Very well. Be admitted without objection.
Publishing to the jury. Where do we see that it is not consistent with the rules to be purging explosive gas indoors?
Specifically in this Chapter 8, 8.3.1.3, it requires the outdoor discharge of purged gases, states that the open end of a piping system being pressure vented or purged, as it were in this case, shall discharge directly to an outdoor location.
What if the pipe is inside?
If the pipe is inside, this is still the regulation. A plumbing company could do something such as attach a hose to the bleeder valve to direct that air directly outside so that it is never able to accumulate in an indoor space.
Is that something that you've seen plumbing companies do before?
I've certainly heard that plumbing companies do that and have done it.
Okay, so we've talked about the rules that Pipeworks has. I want to get a sense of whether Pipeworks knew that there was this risk of odor fade. Have you reviewed any evidence suggesting Waco Pipeworks actually knew about odor fade and its risks?
I reviewed Waco Pipeworks employee handbook, and took a look at their training and the supervision guidelines that they provided, and I didn't see any mention of odor fade there.
Was there anything that was made public that Waco Pipeworks should have made their employees aware of?
Well, there was certainly a mass of public information about odor fade generally. I mean, you could do a Google search for the term odor fade and it would pull up 8 million results. So it's a publicly available concept and phenomenon.
You mentioned 8 million. I'm going to look at just one with you. Your Honor, I'm approaching opposing counsel with Exhibit 37. It's already in evidence. May I approach?
You may.
Publishing Exhibit 37. What do we see in Exhibit 37?
This is the U.S. Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board. It's a safety bulletin that was published by that board on the dangers of pumping gas into buildings.
Included in those dangers, does it warn about odor fade?
It does.
Was this public?
Yes, it certainly was. It was published in 2009.
Was this before the explosion in this case?
Yes, the explosion in this case was in 2024.
What was the explosion that happened in this case?
In the case that we're talking about today, just a natural gas explosion. Yes.
How about the case that happened in 2009 that was made public to people?
It was also a natural gas explosion.
To a company like Pipeworks?
Similar to, yes.
On the front page of this safety bulletin, who is the first person listed that needs to be warned about this risk?
That would be plumbers.
Who does Waco Pipeworks employ?
Plumbers. It's a plumbing company.
Thank you, ma'am. Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Allegri?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I want to start with this chart that you showed the members of the jury on direct examination. You drew a line on this chart, right?
Yes, I did.
Now, you know that the defendant's gas is what passed through the meter, right?
Yes.
This gas did not come with a warning from the defendant about odor fade.
It did not, apart from generally the smell that we added to it before and at the meter.
But after it passed through this line and went through the pipes, was still the defendant's gas.
It was.
It didn't have an odor fade warning attached to it.
Not necessarily, no.
And when it went to the boiler, it was still the defendant's gas.
Yes.
It didn't have an odor fade warning attached to it.
Apart from the odorization, no, it did not.
Now, Ms. Blumberg, I'd like to talk about this word gas that we've been using a lot today. Now, you talked about some codes on direct examination, right?
Yes.
There's the International Fuel and Gas Code, right?
Yes.
And the National Fuel and Gas Code, right?
Yes.
I'm just going to ask you a very, very simple question about the title of those codes. They don't have the word plumbing in them.
No, they do not.
Okay. With that in mind, I'd like to talk about what the industry practice is then in the plumbing industry, because you're aware that there is a traditional method for plumbers to test if there's gas, right?
I am aware of that. It's the smell test that Waco Pipeworks used.
And you'd agree with me that some, if not most, plumbers use that test, right?
In my investigation of this case, I did become aware that some plumbers do use that, but it doesn't change the regulations and what is required of them.
I want to be very specific about wording here. Some, if not most, plumbers use this method. You'd agree with that, right?
Sure. Yes.
Now, Ms. Blumberg, I'd like to ask about your area of expertise. Now, you are someone who's never investigated a case involving natural gas before this one, right?
That is true.
Not in your work at your current company, right?
No, not in my work. This is my first one.
Right. And not when you worked at OSHA, right?
No, but I am very familiar with the OSHA regulations about natural gas and the safety requirements surrounding it.
I understand. I'm not asking about those regulations now, just about your own personal experience. You never worked at a gas company before, right?
No. Well, no. I worked for Atlantic construction company that was a general contractor that worked frequently with natural gas.
And that's exactly what I want to get into. Even though you didn't work at a gas company, you worked at a company that worked frequently with gas, right?
Yes,
And in that company, you worked there for 11 years, right?
yes,
From 2010 to 2021, right?
right,
You know, Waco Pipeworks is a company that worked with gas in this case, right?
yes,
But they're not a gas company, right?
no,
And in those 11 years at your company, you were not aware of the risks of odor fade.
I had never heard the term, no, not in my capacity there.
And in this case, based on the evidence you reviewed, you didn't see any evidence that the plumbers knew about odor fade.
No, I didn't see any evidence of that, no.
Thank you. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Ms. Goring, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, you just said you didn't see any evidence that the plumbers knew about odor fade. Did you see any evidence that Waco Pipeworks told their employees and plumbers about odor fade?
No, and I do think that that was the problem here.
Did you see any evidence that Waco Pipeworks itself should have known about odor fade?
I certainly think they should have known as a plumber and as a company that works frequently with natural gas and that should be aware of the risks on its own of odor fade.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor. May this witness be excused.
Any recross?
No recross, Your Honor.
The witness may step down. Thank you. Ms. Goring, you can call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defense calls Alex Tyler.
Alex Tyler.
Your Honor, while we're getting Alex Tyler into the courtroom, we ask to examine this witness as an adverse witness under Rule 611 using leading questions.
Mr. Allegri.
No issues with that, Your Honor.
All
That's
right.
permitted under federal.
Very well.
May I grab a couple exhibits from that witness stand?
You may.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Tyler.
Good afternoon.
You are the CEO of Waco Pipeworks, right?
That's right.
You're in charge of all the plumbers there?
Yes.
You were in charge of someone named Jordan Covington.
Yes.
You were in charge of someone named Riley Porter.
Not directly, but he was in the organization.
That's right. Two of your employees were Covington and Porter.
Right.
And those two
Well,
folks
they were employees of Waco Pipeworks.
those two folks were employees of your company at the time of this explosion, yes?
Yes.
They received training from your company.
Yes.
Mr. Covington spent her entire career at your company.
Yes. Up to that point, yeah.
Up until she quit your company,
Right.
right after the explosion.
I don't remember the dates, but
Well-
after the explosion, yeah.
After the explosion.
Yep.
Miss Covington did her apprenticeship at your company,
Yes.
her journeyman training at your company,
I believe so.
sat for the plumber's exam through your company,
Yes.
did her certifications at your company,
Yes.
all her continuing education at your company.
While she was there, yeah.
So you know that it is important to make sure your plumbers are trained.
They have to be, yeah.
That's right. I mean, they're dealing with something dangerous, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Natural gas,
Right.
explosive.
At a certain point, it's explosive, yeah.
It was explosive in this case.
It was, yeah.
And so they need to know how to handle it safely.
I agree.
I want to talk about what it is that your company knew before the time of this explosion. Your Honor, I am approaching opposing counsel with Exhibit 56. It is already in evidence. May I approach the witness?
You may.
Publishing to the jury. Mr. Tyler, this is a Safety Expo brochure, yes?
Appears to be.
This is something that your company received.
We must have, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you say we must have?
I think we did.
You're not sure?
Well, is this one of the documents we produced to you?
This is certainly a document that your company produced, yes,
Well, then we must have received it if we had it.
but you're not sure about it.
Well, I'm telling you what I know. If we gave it to you, we had it.
So you're not sure that you remember hearing about a training on odor fade awareness?
I did not know about odor fade before the events of that this case is based on.
Mr. Tyler, you didn't know about odor fade before coming to court?
No, before the explosion, I didn't know about odor fade.
You, the CEO of a company that handles explosive gas, did not know about odor fade before that explosion?
We were not told about odor fade from a company called Kratos.
Hang on, you certainly were told something about odor fade by other people, weren't you?
Well, I'm telling you, I think we received this document. I did not actually know about odor fade at that time.
So certainly you didn't train your employees about it either, did you?
Well, I don't personally train employees, so no.
Let me clarify, no one at Waco Pipeworks trained any employees about odor fade before this explosion.
I certainly didn't personally, so
You know no one did.
I don't know that no one was trained. I was not aware of odor fade. I mean, the apprentice process is something plumbers go through. They work for, a plumber who's a master plumber. I don't know what transpired between those, the master and the journeyman, or the journeyman and, a laborer.
Sure, so you're telling us it's possible that the people at your company did know what odor fade was?
I guess that's possible. I didn't know.
Okay. So then I want to talk about what kind of tools you're providing the employees at Waco Pipeworks when they're doing this job. So on the day of the explosion, they're purging gas, right?
That's right.
From a pipe
Yeah, that's my understanding.
in a room.
Yes.
I want to try something with you. I have Exhibit 14, we're calling this thing. Do you know what this is?
It's a device used to detect natural gas.
Okay, I'm approaching the witness with Exhibit 14. Mr. Tyler, go ahead and turn that on. Okay, now turn it off. You're not a plumber, are you?
No,
You're not trained as a plumber?
no,
Not even trained as an apprentice?
no.
But you certainly knew how to turn on a detector, right?
Well, it has an on switch right here in the middle. Yeah.
That's right. You just needed someone to tell you to turn it on.
Right.
That is not what was provided to your employees, right?
I believe they had these.
Oh, hang on. Telling the employees to actually use it was not something that was provided to your employees.
Well, we have an employee manual that says use equipment when appropriate. We did have that.
I'll make this very clear. There was no point at which anyone training your employees told them, use the detector when you're purging gas.
We did not use those words, no.
No words like it, Mr. Tyler.
Well, like I said, I mean, you can look at the owner's manual. It says use equipment when appropriate. This is equipment they had.
No one was telling them to turn it on.
I didn't tell them to turn it on. I'm not aware that anyone did. And I know that they didn't use it on the day in question. I know that.
Nothing further, Your Honor. I'm grabbing Exhibit 14.
Mr. Allegri?
Yes, Your Honor, cross-examination from the plaintiff.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We heard a lot about your company today, so I just want to give some context to the members of the jury. Now, it's a plumbing company, right?
It is.
It's a local one.
It's local to Waco, yes.
It's a family business.
Yes,
Your mother used to run it.
yes,
It was started by your grandparents.
that's true.
And now you run it today.
That's right.
Your company is pretty small, would that be fair?
It's a small business, yeah,
It's got about 20 or so employees.
that's right.
I want to talk about one of those employees, holding up Exhibit 50. Do you know who this is, sir?
There's a little glare. Yes, that's Riley Porter and his wife.
And Riley was one of your employees, right?
That's right.
But he wasn't a plumber, was he?
He was not.
He was a helper, right?
Right.
You yourself used to be a helper.
Yes, I did.
A helper is someone who's not a plumber but assists with the process of plumbing, right?
Yeah,
Now, several of the people at your company are also master plumbers, right?
yes,
Master plumbers, these are people who had to take additional certifications and testing to become a plumber, right?
to become a master plumber, yes.
And those certifications and training, they come around about thousands of hours in your company, right?
It takes thousands of hours to become a master plumber, that is correct.
And that
Or
is-
even a journeyman plumber.
And that is in addition to on-the-job training, right?
Well, the hours of training are on the job training. The thousands of hours of training that you mentioned, those are on the job.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I think we've got our wires crossed here. The master plumber exam, there's hours that you need to take to study it, right?
There's an exam, yes,
Right. And then those thousands of hours you're talking about, those are the on-the-job training hours, right?
right.
Now, the master plumbers in this case, or at your company, they took this test, right?
Yes,
And they passed this test, right?
yes.
It's not a test administered by you,
No, it's not.
it's administered by the state of Texas.
I believe so, yes. It's a state licensure.
And these master plumbers at your company, they never said anything about the gas detector coming up on the exam, right?
They never told me that.
They never said anything about a gas detector coming up in their thousands of hours of on-the-job training, right?
They didn't tell me that.
Another person who didn't tell you, sir, about the risks here is the defendant, right?
Right.
They didn't warn you about the risks of odor fade, right?
We didn't receive any warnings from the defendant.
And Ms. Gorin said something on cross or direct examination. I want to make sure that we have this right. She asked you that you needed someone to tell you, right?
She said that, yeah.
You did need someone to tell you, right?
Would have been nice.
Would have been nice. Sir, the defendant never gave you a phone call about odor fade.
No.
Didn't give you an email about odor fade.
No.
They didn't say anything at all to you about odor fade.
They told us nothing about odor fade.
Thank you. We pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Tyler, you said that they told you nothing about odor fade.
Specifically your client, yeah.
You know how to use the internet.
I do.
You know that Kratos has a web page.
I assume that that's true. I don't know that that's true.
You don't know that the company that provided explosive gas to your employees has a web page
I mean, again, I assume it's true.
with safety information?
I don't know what you do and what you don't do.
Y'all didn't look up if there was safety information from the company that's providing your employees gas?
I didn't look at your website about that, no.
Well,
Assuming you have one.
sure, I'm assuming then you also haven't looked at any other public messages about odor fade, right?
I've seen some public, I believe I've received some public messages about odor fade. You mentioned one earlier, I think.
Oh, you have seen public information out there about the risk of odor fade.
We've received some, yes.
That is just not something that your employees were warned about.
I did not know about odor fade, but in the course of this litigation, as you pointed out, we've received some things that mentioned odor fade.
Oh, hang on, Mr. Tyler. Before this litigation even started, there were safety bulletins out there about the risks of odor fade.
I know that now, yeah.
You just didn't.
None
tell
of
your-
them came from you, but there were some out there, yeah.
Okay, there were some out there about
Yeah.
odor fade, they just were not told to your employees by you. Right?
I did not tell them about odor fade. I did not know about odor fade. I can't tell them about something that I don't know.
Nothing further, Your Honor. May this witness be excused.
Any
You
other?
have a recross, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Ms. Gordon asked you questions about a safety bulletin on the defendant's website. Do you remember that?
Not in the moment, I don't know.
You didn't see that safety bulletin before this case, right?
No, I did not see it before this case. I don't remember seeing it.
Well, let's take a look at it now. Publishing Exhibit 34. Now, you don't know if this was directed to residential or commercial customers, right?
No, I don't.
But Waco Pipeworks, that's a commercial company, right?
We do both residential and commercial.
Right, but you yourself as a company, you're a commercial company, right?
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. I'm a
Waco
commercial.
Pipeworks is a business, sir.
Yeah, we're business. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't see the words odor fade in the title, right?
No, it says natural gas safety guide.
I'm going to give you about just a few seconds to see if you can find the words odor fade in this document.
Well, in fairness, I'm not sure I can read print this fine, even with my glasses on.
Would you say,
I don't see it in the headings so far.
would you say it's a little difficult to find, sir?
I'm having trouble finding it here in the moment.
All right. We have no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Very well. The witness may step down. Thank you. Ms. Gordon?
The defense rests, Your Honor.
I understood the jury will be constructively excused. I understand both counsel have already discussed and agreed to the jury charge. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. Then we'll take a short recess and come back with the jury and with closing arguments from both sides. In the meantime, that way you can confer as far as time is concerned.
Great.
We'll be in recess.
to 19 minutes. I should not be getting to 19 minutes.
Okay, when would you like time? 5, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, gotcha.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right, Mr. Allegri, have you confirmed how much time you need for closing argument?
Yes, Your Honor, I have about 19 or so minutes remaining. I'm certainly not going to use all of that. I asked to reserve any remaining time for rebuttal.
Very well. And Ms. Gordon?
Yes, Your Honor, I have about 13 minutes left, and we will see.
Good answer. All right, Mr. Allegri?
Yes, Your Honor. They knew. And they said nothing. Members of the jury, you heard witness after witness get up on that witness stand and tell you about what they know and what they don't know. And this is really what this case comes down to. Knowledge. And who is supposed to know what. Now, we all know that gas can be dangerous, right? We all know it can explode. We all know that it has a smell. Because you see, the gas companies, they add that smell to their product as a safety feature. You heard from the defendant's executive today, that is their only safety feature. Why do they put that smell on the gas? Because this is something that they promise members of the jury will keep their customers safe. And when that only safety feature can fail, that promise is broken. When you go and buy a gun, members of the jury, you expect the person selling you the gun to tell you where the safety is. When you go and buy cleaning products, you expect there to be instructions telling you whether or not you need to wear gloves. And when you sell a highly dangerous, highly deadly, flammable gas with a safety feature that you know can fail, we expect the defendant to take precautions, to give warnings, instructions, anything, members of the jury, but they didn't. Their customers needed them, needed the defendant to give them that warning. There's one moment that stood out in trial today. It's when Miss Gordon was asking Alex Tyler, you needed someone to tell you to turn it on. That is exactly right. They needed the defendant, the gas experts, the people in the gas industry to tell them that there was something wrong with their product, members of the jury, because it was their gas. Whether it starts at the gas meter, goes through the pipes, or gets to the boilers. Their gas, their product defect. They knew, and they said nothing. That's why when we walked into this courtroom through those doors, we brought a case of marketing defect against the defendant, Kratos Energy. Because when they sold that gas, members of the jury, they left their customers guessing. And under Texas law, as the judge will instruct you, they're not allowed to do that when there's an unreasonable danger. They're required to give adequate warnings. They didn't. We proved that to you today by asking you to focus on three very simple facts. Fact number one, the defendant sold a dangerous product. Fact number two, they knew it was dangerous. And fact number three, they said nothing to warn the plumbers in this case about it. So let's start with fact number one, that they were selling a dangerous product. You heard from plumbers today. You heard from people in the contracting industry or in the construction industry. The defense's own expert, members of the jury, not ours, said that when she worked at a construction company who frequently works with gas lines in those 11 years, she's never heard the term odor fade. Because this is not something that's in their wheelhouse, members of the jury. That's why this is so dangerous, because these plumbers are customers. They're not the people selling the gas with the knowledge of why this gas is so particularly dangerous, because the safety feature can fail. That was a dangerous product. The fact that that safety feature could fail was dangerous. It removes the only safety net that these plumbers have, that they know they have. A safety net provided to them by the defendant that they trusted would hold up. Which brings us to fact number 2. The defendant knew it was dangerous. Members of the jury, as much as the defendant in this case or the vice president wanted to quibble, he could not get away from the facts today. Facts, they're very stubborn things, members of the jury. They can't be changed. They can't be avoided. So let's talk about those facts, because you have Exhibit 31, an internal document in the defendant's possession. You know, the defense wants to talk a lot about possession. This email was in their possession. This information about Odafade was in their possession. They had to go through the trouble, members of the jury, to get their engineer to scour the internet, scour the publicly available information, to search for this, to do a literature review and come back with the findings. Paragraphs upon paragraphs of detailed information about Odafade with specific risk factors. So it's not just that the defendant knew Odafade was a thing. They knew the specific risk factors of Odafade, and they knew it was specifically at high risk in this case because they also had the benefit of Exhibit 6. The email where they got the heads up from the contractors that gas would start running in June when new piping was being installed. These are the facts on the ground, and this is the specialized knowledge that the defendant had. The engineer made it easy for the members of the jury. He gave them a checkbox, so let's see which ones were ticked. New piping? Check. Commercial building? Waco Memorial Hospital? Check. High temperatures? It's June, summer in Texas, folks. You all know it. Check. Check, check, check. The defendant had both these documents, and you'll have both of them when you go to the deliberation room today. The plumbers in this case had only one. The facts on the ground, not the specialized knowledge of Odafade. Which brings us to fact number 3. The defendant said nothing. You heard today about the defendant having opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to warn the plumbers in this case, members of the jury, but they said nothing. I mean, just take a step back with me. Just take a step back with me for a moment. I took a really step back, but just take a little step back with me. And look at the bigger picture. How easy would it have been for this defendant to warn the plumbers? Sitting on that pile of information about Odafade. How easy? Because they had templates from several different gas companies that you saw today. PG&E, Philadelphia Gas Works, Centerpoint Energy, National Grid. All these gas companies warned their commercial customers about Odafade. The defendant in this case didn't. They couldn't send an email. They couldn't reply to that email where the contractors gave them a heads up. Figure that, members of the jury. The people who gave them a heads up didn't get a heads up from the defendant. They couldn't have given a phone call, or if they were more traditional, go and tell them in person. The vice president today went to that gas site where that test on the odorization was conducted, the test that Ms. Gorin showed you on her case in chief. He was there physically. Couldn't have said, hey, just to let you know, you might want to use that gas detector. because there's a danger with our product, so we just want to make sure you're safe. You know, that's what a responsible company does. That's what a company that cares about its customers does. This company did. They knew. And they said nothing. So what does that mean for you, members of the jury? Because when you go back to that deliberation room, you'll have a verdict form with you. And it will ask you whether or not there was a defect in the warning that Kratos Energy gave to their customers. Because, members of the jury, they had all the information they needed and failed to do the simple thing of just telling the customers, telling the plumbers, we ask that you put yes. And when you look at question 2, whether or not Waco Pipeworks had a role in this accident, we'll ask that you put no. Because this wasn't something that was in their wheelhouse. They didn't have the same information as the defendant. They needed an expert to tell them, just like you needed today those expert witnesses to tell you about odor fade. Because how many of you, I figure, heard the term odor fade before trial today? Think about that. Because you know who else didn't know? Riley Porter didn't know. His wife Avery didn't know. Their 2 daughters, Erin and April, didn't know. They didn't know their father wouldn't be coming home that day. They didn't know that the gas that their father was working with had a danger that could cause his death. So members of the jury, when you go back to that deliberation room and you think about who is responsible and you weigh the responsibility in this case, we'll ask that you hold the right people accountable. The people who provided the gas that exploded. The people whose own safety feature failed. The people responsible for the reason those 2 girls get to grow up without a father. They knew, and they said nothing. Find them liable. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Gordon?
That was the solution. That was the solution. And then none of this happens and none of us are here. Folks, this case is certainly about who was supposed to warn who about what. They are right about that one. And when they come up here and they say, or they ask, how many of you have heard the term odor fade? Folks, please rest assured, Kratos Company is telling folks like you and I what odor fade is. I mean, you heard that from every single person that took this stand. I mean, you heard it from these lawyers themselves. Residential customers, people that don't got extra training in natural gas and explosions and all of these different purging, the lines and all that stuff. Kratos is warning their customers. No one's expecting you all to have 25 years of plumbing experience with explosive gas. No one's expecting you all to be employed by a company that's been around this whole time doing exactly what the job was in this case, purging a gas line, expelling natural gas into a room, and then detecting it. Because when the plaintiff comes up here and they say the people in the gas industry needed to warn about odor fade, make no mistake, folks, who else is in the gas industry? Waco Pipeworks. Waco Pipeworks is a gas professional. Kratos is a gas professional. What the plaintiff is asking you all here to find is that it was necessary for Kratos, a gas professional, to look at another gas professional and say, you should follow the rules of your profession. Well, folks, that's not what the law requires, and I think that makes sense. This is what the law requires. Companies to have adequate warnings on their products. It does not require companies to warn of obvious risks. And I get that that might be confusing because what's obvious to maybe you and I is maybe not obvious to someone else. It's very clear here. We're talking about what's obvious to the community like Waco Pipeworks. This was obvious. And you know what? The CEO of that company doesn't get to say that it wasn't obvious by sticking his head in the sand. Because remember when he was up here and he was saying, wait, I did not know about odor fade. Okay, well, here's the question the law asks, and good thing it asks this: should he have known? He gave this to us. Odor fade awareness. So no, it's not that there was no way for him to know. It's that he ignored it. Okay, there's more. Odor fade. Publicly posted from Kratos' website. So no, it's not true that he couldn't have known. It's that he chose not to know. A safety bulletin posted for plumbers about an explosion caused by natural gas by purging a line indoors at a construction site, just like the project that Waco Pipeworks was overseeing that caused this explosion in 2009. Folks, they had 15 years to learn about odor fade the way the United States Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board told them to. And they did not. So no, it's not true that they couldn't have known. It's that they chose not to. Folks, I don't like talking about what happened to Mr. Porter. What happened to Mr. Porter was awful. It is 100% true that it was preventable. It was preventable by his employer. It was preventable by this. Miss Covington, who was on the job that day, is at a new company now. She is at a company that does the same thing as Pipeworks, in the same industry, knows the same stuff, working with the same clients right here in Waco, just like Pipeworks. And that company says, whoa, do not rely on just your nose. Use this. So when Waco Pipeworks chooses to not know of a risk, They are sending their employees into a dangerous situation. And it's not just the odor fade, folks. This is what it is, breaking rule after rule after rule. There were 2 experts on the stand here today, both of them, one called by the plaintiff, one called by us. They both sat there. They both told us that Waco Pipeworks broke rules. And I don't think we needed experts to tell us that what Waco Pipeworks tells their employees to do ain't safe. Because it's this: go into a room, enclose yourself inside, turn on a huge pipe, wait for explosive gas to be expelled into the room, rely solely on your nose to make sure that you turn it off quickly enough so that there isn't an explosion, and make sure you're getting 1 inch away from that pipe every 30 seconds for 2 hours to make sure that you're smelling it fast enough to avoid the explosion. That is what Waco Pipeworks told its employees to do. That's not normal in the industry. It's not the easiest way. It's not the safest way. It's not the reasonable way. When there was another solution. So yeah, they put them in a dangerous position. And then they had a reliable tool. And then they didn't tell their employees to use it. Instead, they told them to do all of that. So when we say this case is really about who should warn who, what we got to talk about is who was in charge of who. Because if you remember, we had this up a few times, and it gets pretty clear. We saw it from the people that were on the job site. We heard it from experts in this field. When the gas is right here, yep, that is Kratos' responsibility, and the employees working on it is Kratos' responsibility. And here's what we heard: they followed every rule. There was odor in their gas here. They did test it here. There was nothing unsafe about their gas here. But when you got one gas professional and another gas professional, and they both got rules to follow to keep people safe, then the stuff that happens over here isn't something Kratos can control. The stuff that happens here is what Pipeworks controls. So when they tell you it was June in Texas, it was hot, the pipes were big, the pipes were new, it was a big construction company, these are all risks of odor fade. Folks, those are the risks that Pipeworks chose. When they tell you that their employees went in there and they were purging that line without being able to detect it, that's because Pipeworks didn't tell them how to. When they come up here and they tell you that when we buy things, we expect certain warnings, what's really going on is they're asking you to imagine a scenario where, I mean, let's say you're in a car, you don't put your seatbelt on, something bad happens, and then you blame the people who made the car for putting the seatbelt in there. Well, hang on, there's 2 people in this. The people that provide a safe product, a car with a seatbelt, a natural gas with an odorant, and then there are the people that use it. Someone who doesn't put on a seatbelt, someone who doesn't use the tools. A solution in their hands, they didn't pick it up, they didn't turn it on. There's not much Kratos can do at that point. So let me show you this verdict form one more time. There is that first question that y'all looked at with the plaintiff earlier. And it asks if they've met their burden to prove that there was a defect in the warnings or instructions at the time its product left the possession of Kratos. And that's asking you about, right here, the possession of Kratos. A defect in the warning there? When there was odor in the gas so people could detect it? I mean, at the point they had possession, the consumers that were in the industry too had the knowledge, or they certainly should have. So you can put no on question number 1. But if one of you is maybe thinking it's a yes, you go to question number 2. And that asks about Waco Pipeworks' responsibility here. Did they do what was reasonable to protect their employees? And that's where we start getting into all of those rules they broke and that position they put them in and all that training that their employees didn't receive and that tool that was sitting in a toolbox just feet away from the folks that were doing this job that didn't know to turn it on because they weren't told to. That's where we start talking about all those safety bulletins, all that awareness of odor fade, all of those things posted publicly that plumbers needed to know about that its employers didn't tell them about. So there, you can put yes to. And that's when you say, when you got a solution that works all the time, you get 100% of the responsibility. We ask that you find Kratos not liable and the faults with Waco Pipeworks. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gorin. Mr. Allegri, any rebuttal?
Yes, Your Honor. Members of the jury, when you take a look at that verdict form, just because the gas escaped Kratos Energy's possession doesn't mean they escape the responsibility. Was there a defect in the warning or instructions at the time it left its possession? Yes, there was a defect. The defect was there was no warning. They're trying to draw lines in the sand, members of the jury. When the defendant's gas left their possession and went through the pipes, it was still their gas, still no warning. When it went from the pipes to the boiler room, it was still their gas, still no warning. Ms. Gorin mentioned a car and who is responsible if there's something that goes wrong with that. Well, members of the jury, if you sell a car that can explode, you certainly don't blame the driver for that. Find the person who is the right person to hold accountable, liable. Find the defendant liable because they're the ones that knew and they're the ones that said nothing. Thank you for your time.
I think we're all back. First of all, I'd like to congratulate both of you. I know this is a unique national competition to invitation only, 16 teams, multi-day gauntlet that you've gone through, and you're the last two standing. So that's quite an accomplishment. So congratulations to you both. I will allow our members of the jury, before I announce the winner, to offer any comments that they may have at this time.
Okay, I've been given the mic, so I will start. Y'all all did a very excellent job. I really don't have any kind of constructive criticism. I thought you both had different strengths from one another, but were both very strong competitors today and did a great job.
Hey, y'all, my name is Wes. I have just a couple of constructive comments for you. Be careful about not over-promising what you will be able to prove or taking on a higher burden. If you have a negligence case, be careful about accusing somebody of intentional conduct or fraud or things that don't necessarily go directly to did we use ordinary care. If you take on a higher burden, it can be tempting to want to prove something that you don't need to, but focus on what your real standard is in the case is a really important rule. And then the only other constructive comment I'm going to give you all real quickly, when you're cross-examining an expert, try to keep that focused. Try to keep that focused on exhibits or things that you can prove. If you get bogged down in arguing with an opposing expert, that's really, really difficult. So you can use your own expert to help you out, but kind of use a laser focus on your questions when you're cross-examining an opposing expert who can kind of fishhook you and really try to do some things that can hurt your case when you're questioning. And so try to keep those examinations really, really tight. But y'all did a good job with a technical problem. I've handled some natural gas explosion cases and propane cases, and you did a very good job of understanding technical rules, regulations, and material and not being intimidated by that. So congratulations to both of you for making it this far.
Hello, I'm Britta Stanton from Lynn Pinkerhurst and Schwegman in Dallas. It was a pleasure to judge the final round, and I look forward to hearing about all four of you as lawyers.
Hi, my name is Andy Ryan. Make it very quick as well. You all did an excellent job. I have nothing to add on how you did your examinations. One thing I would say is the first witness in every trial is a great opportunity to confront that witness with the things that the jury just heard about from the other side's opening statements. So I would try something like that in all the future trials that I'm sure you're going to have and have a lot of success in. Thanks.
I was only going to say, obviously, you're the last two standing based on your great oral advocacy skill as well as your meticulous attention to detail that brought you along this far. Again, I congratulate both of you.
And this is the part you hate, because I'm going to make you wait for just a minute because I need to thank a few people very quickly. Mostly, I need to thank, congratulations to all of you. It's been fantastic to watch the tournament. I need to thank our friends from NGNN, the law firm. Tremendous partners in this effort, tremendous partners in Top Gun. Could not do this without them. And so it's been a fantastic weekend working with them to make this happen for our students and for the students around the country. I want to thank all of our students who helped. I want to thank the professors and the dean who testified in the final trial. That's always fun when you get to cross-examine a dean, which apparently took place here. So good time by all. Thank you so much for being here. I'm not going to say anything after the announcement, so I just had to take this chance. And otherwise, Judge, I will now throw it back to you to announce the winner of Top Gun 17.
I think we all boasted about the sponsors and this unique competition, but as in any competition, there can be only one winner. And today's winner for the 2026 Top Gun competition is Rebecca Gorin, UC Berkeley Law.